Quick note before the episode begins. On this new series of the Aequi podcast, we are going to be passing the mic over to some of our colleagues from our department so that they can share with you the interesting EU projects that we work on.
But don't worry, Tima and I are not going away. We'll be back soon. Enjoy this episode.
Welcome to Aequi, the podcast on all things law and technology. I'm Mariana.
And I'm Mariana.
And welcome to another episode on the PassTheMic-Series, where we discuss the EU-funded project Privacy4Kids.
So welcome, and from our side, thank you, Tim and Paul, for passing the mic this time, and having this lot to talk about Privacy4Kids. Perhaps just a brief information about myself. Perhaps you already have heard about it in the past episode on PassTheMic on BBC. But just in case, I'm a research associate at the IT department and started working in 2019. I work already in several projects mainly related to health. And this is actually the second time that we're working together, Maria Catherine.
Right.
So perhaps you want to tell a little bit about yourself.
Yes, so I'm also a research associate, as you know, at the department. I started to work here a couple of months before you in 2018. Mm-hmm. I'm also mainly involved in projects related to health, like similar project as you're working on. Two of the projects I'm currently working on, I will present with my colleagues later on in the series. So stay tuned. But now let's focus on today's topic, Privacy4Kids.
Sure.
In this project, we work together with the European Data Protection Authority on an EU-funded project called Privacy4Kids. So the main goal of the project is to explain privacy issues in short videos to children in the age between 6 and 14.
Yeah, perhaps it's important to know that this is a quite different project from what we are used to do, and actually also that the audience have heard from here the PassTheMic episodes. So this is the first time that we're dealing with such a project. Is it
It's
right?
true. This project is a bit different from the other project you have heard so far in this podcast series. We have normally a lot of partners working together. Here we only have two partners in this project, the Austrian Data Protection Authority and our department. So, as you might have noticed, we have often taken the role of legal consultants in our project. But in this particular project, our main field of expertise is teaching. Mm-hmm. So this is why we are in charge of setting up a course, which will take place this coming fall at the University of Vienna.
Yeah, I did a bit of advertising here.
Yeah, of course. But before coming to the details of the course, we would like to talk about why we are working on this particular project and why this topic is so important to us as well.
My interest and passion in data protection dates already many years now, and I started to grow the interest in the protection of privacy and also data protection with a special focus on children since this became relevant at a personal level. Here from the very beginning, I start to think whether I should share my ultrasound image with all the personal data that it contains through social media, and or even sharing the name or even this tag when my baby was born that contains a lot of personal media through personal information through social media. And I started to think this is actually really difficult.
Have you done it? Have you done it?
No, I haven't. But it actually was really difficult because I actually faced a lot of social pressure, I have to be honest, on a personal level. And second, if I'm also being honest, I lack awareness. I lack let's say the information on how actually to modify my privacy settings in specific social media accounts, or if this actually, and at this point I started actually to look into the data protection and privacy policies from a child perspective and what I should do as a parent to protect my child's data. So I think this is this is on a personal level again, and also I realized that I had actually I will start creating and forming the digital persona of my baby since already the start. So that's why I think I find this project so interesting. This is starting to raise awareness, not only to both children and parents, and how, of course, we can bring this information in a really easy and concise way. We're going to talk this later, I think, you are going to say something about this. But yeah, I realized that this easy way and concise way of learning in a world where there's a lot of of information is quite important. So enough about me. Why is this project interesting for you?
Well, I think we can say it's not a coincidence that exactly the two of us are working on this project. I'm in a similar position as you are. So last year, my first daughter was born as well. And I asked more or less the same questions as you did. But generally speaking, data protection and everything related to digital law has been my particular field of interest for a long time already. But the specific interest into children came into play with more and more with my daughter. So now she's just a little bit more than a year old, and she knows exactly how to start the camera on my phone and take pictures. So there, of course, not all her actions are really intended. But nonetheless, it showed me that we as parents have to start our educational work in this field already very early. So even before a child can read. So that is why this project is particularly interesting for me, because we are aiming in addressing children in a way that they can understand complex issues in a form which is easily digestible, already at a very, very young age, and where a lot of children cannot even read. So I think that's my is something that really interests me. It's my particular field of interest.
Sure. This, I think, is not only educating children, but educating first ourselves on how to educate on these topics. Actually, we were also thinking why this topic is so important, and just to bring a little bit of facts here in this. Well, today we are sitting at a table, so in this table. We were we were thinking that, of course, a child's identity commences before actually being here and in this world, before birth. And so I already mentioned with just the ultrasound images, and we already as parents start sharing that if we start sharing that. And of course, the children's digital identity and the digital footprint actually continues to form through the whole, let's say, life of the child, and specifically the ones that are forming that is first, of course, family and even friends. So I was actually very shocked when I read that more than 80% of children living in developed Western countries have a digital footprint before they are 2 years old. And actually, that children, of course, participate online in multiple ways and at really early ages. And I was also shocked when I read the annual report of the Special Rapporteur on Privacy. This is a report that was issued this year on artificial intelligence and privacy and children's privacy, where it states that children's social media use undergoes a step change between the ages of 9 to 10 and 11 to 12, doubling from 34% to 69% the use of social media. So that's for me was when you see this kind of numbers, you see why the topic actually is that important. Although, of course, we have to say that this is not completely new. There was, for example, in 2014, it was the 25th anniversary of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. And also, coincidentally, the 25th anniversary of the creation of the World Wide Web. And there, in this opportunity, the report stated, in the context of this celebration, the report stated that the interest on children's rights are becoming, of course, more important. And here the Children's Committee representative stated that the internet is per se not good or bad, but it's actually how you use it. And I also got to know that actually this interest on the children's use of internet, social media here, I think we are inequally using the terms, these terms. But it's quite, let's say, so I would say shocking, but I didn't want to say this word. And just saying that actually this interest is starting to be crystallized around the world, but of course the implementation on the protection of the rights of the child is not completely fulfilled. We know this. So just one color note, perhaps it's interesting to say that there is already a dichotomy also in children's too. This is also proven by certain studies where they use the internet, of course, as an ongoing report on all the things that are happening in their lives, even to create their own digital persona, their own, let's say, personality per se. But on the other hand, it's also proven that they are concerned about what information is being on the internet about themselves and what the threats could be. So this is something that perhaps, it's interesting to go through a little bit in deep.
Yeah, right. But I think we can agree that children are particularly vulnerable to attacks such as internet fraud because they don't know what they're consenting to, like clicking on such boxes or where to give their data. So criminals may abuse their trust. So children tend to give their trust and their personal data away too easily because they don't know, they want to use it now. And so it asks for the personal data and they're just entering it, not thinking about the consequences this might have and that it's out there somewhere on the internet. So this is why there are stronger legal safeguards in place under European data protection framework to protect children's personal data. At least it tries. For example, consent giving by children is invalid until the age of 16 or an age pursuant to the member state law, unless it's authorized by a legal representative or such a parent. So furthermore, children may not be subject to automatic decisions. So there are several safeguards where to protect children's privacy. So it's not everything is possible for children on the internet and to give their data away. Away is probably the wrong word, but maybe it's going out there and they're giving it to somebody and somebody might abuse it. So it might be away. So since the GDPR took effect, there has been a boost of information materials concerning data protection and other privacy-related issues. We're flooded by information. But correct. Even more than 3 years after that the GDPR is in force, there are little information on protection on children's rights in the internet. So even internet sites targeting children, they provide little information on the information that how they use the personal data. So there are the same privacy policies for everyone, and it might be that the child cannot really read it, and to be honest, most adults cannot read it. So there are little information in an entertaining manner, attracting the attention of a child and encourage them to actually read or watch something. So, and the GDPR clearly states in its Article 12 that the controller shall take appropriate measures to provide any information related to processing to the data subject in a concise, transparent, intelligible, and easily accessible form using clear and plain language, in particular for any information addressed specifically to a child. And I think this is not really happening at the moment.
Exactly, yeah. Well, we also must not forget, you were talking about, let's say, the regional protection in terms of Europe, but we must not forget that at the international level, there's always also a protection, as I already mentioned, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, where it specifically protects the right to privacy and the right to data protection. So,
true, Mariana. There are so many legal and ethical aspects coming with this podcast. So I think we could set up our own podcast here related to this topic. But for now, let's change subject and talk about the practical part of the project. So as we already mentioned, the department will offer a privacy course. This class deals particularly with privacy and data protection topics with a focus on children. So students will acquire skills that can also be used in many other areas, such as legal research, technical skills. And I think I already mentioned it, that the course will be offered at University of Vienna in the upcoming winter semester. And it is carried out fully online on a Moodle campus, probably to be most Corona conform as possible.
yeah. Yeah. So basically, what we expect, or actually what the students can expect from the outcome of the course, is the production of these easy to understand videos for the target groups, as you already mentioned, of 6 to 10 years old and 11 to 14 years old, and of course by which these children and parents are sensitized about the threats and minors are exposed to on the internet, and how they can protect actually their privacy as best as possible, and perhaps how to counter or avoid fraud on the internet and manipulation in social networks. All of these topics are, I think, going to be chosen by the specific groups, and then students can both do research and then, of course, start with the production of the videos. So that's a little bit of the methodology that we selected for this specific workshop type of course. So perhaps, as we were talking a little bit about how what we expect about from students, do you want to tell us a little bit how the course is going to be structured, as it's completely, I think, different from any other course?
Sure. Yes, we divided the course in 3 phases. So the first phase is the introduction phase. So here students are provided with introductory documents on relevant topics, supported by live interviews. We have excellent experts invited and from different fields, and groups should start doing their research on their own. They get materials, but they should do a research on their own. But we are there to support them on the Moodle campus. And further, they get technical tools such as the Pub2Vid, which intends to make it easier for students and researchers to plan and structure scientific videos. And in the second phase, this is a phase where we have mandatory attendance in a virtual block event, where we complete the scripts together with the students and produce actually the videos. So, the students themselves produce the videos, and in order for students who have not a background knowledge in such a thing, we provide video production tools such as Doodly and Toonly, which makes it easier for students to work with. And the last phase is about the publishing of the videos and writing a report. So each group has to write a final scientific report on the development on the content. So how they worked and how they decided which content should be in the videos.
Sure. So perhaps who should participate or who wants to participate is a question here. So we welcome students from different faculties of the University of Vienna, from law faculties, ecology, computer science, and teachers training courses, who of course are interested in networking aspects of data protection, didactic and media science. And actually they want to put the creativity into a practical project, of course, the creation of these instructional videos. So the project is really interdisciplinary, and this is also, I think, reflecting the learning outcomes, right?
Yes, so I think it's a very important class, and it can be relevant for careers, for the students' careers. So students do not only acquire basic knowledge in data protection and related legal aspects, but they also get the ability to clearly structure subject-specific issues and complex issues. And they will be able to make complex issues understandable to children. So I think this is really an aspect that they cannot learn from another class. So they will learn how to use various tools for producing and creating videos, as I mentioned it before. And they need to organize themselves in virtual teams. I think this is nowadays really important and a skill that should be acquired at the university level already, and not only once they start to work, because everything due to Corona as well went online. And I think it's really important to work in virtual teams, not sitting at a table as we do today, but working online.
Really strange now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is so not only lawyers or future lawyers can profit from this class.
Yeah, exactly. I think this interdisciplinary aspect is key, and specifically when we talk about teams. And I think also, if I just may add, I think it's a really good starting basis to get acquainted with all this knowledge base and technical tools that if you think about being a lawyer, you might traditionally not think about start thinking how a didactic or didactical, let's say, scheme or methodology or even producing a video could look like, and how that could affect actually to your career goals.
So just to conclude, so if you're a student at the University of Vienna and interested in this topic, I hope we made it interesting for you. So register for our class. We are very, very much looking forward to having you in our class. The registration starts on Monday, the 13th of September. And the last day of possible registration will be the 27th of September. So don't miss out to be an essential part of a EU-funded project.
So thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Maria Catherine. Thank you, Paul and Tima. Thank you, audience. We were really pleased to be here and talk about this interesting project. So we will keep you posted on the outcome of the video, hopefully on our website and social media channels. Bye.
Bye.